Welcome into Orange, California. We're here for the SLC semifinals on the D2 side. Northern Arizona taking on Cal State Fullerton. Trey Lanthier alongside Chris Marshall here for the SLC Lacrosse channel. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go down to the field to check out an interview shortly. But looking at this matchup is very interesting. Down to Margot McCauley with head coach John Westfall on the sideline.
All right, Coach, I know you fell to Fullerton earlier this season. What adjustments do you have to make today to get a positive result?
It's a simple equation. We've got to get the ball. If we get the ball to our attack, we'll have a great day. If we don't, it'll be a long afternoon.
I know you're missing a big guy, Marco Silver. He's your face-off man. Who steps up in his absence?
We're going to bring Sean Mastro up in the attack. He's a good face-off guy. And we're also going to use Tillman, our LSM, to do some face-offs.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck today. We'll see you later. All right, back to you, Chris.
All right, so definitely and some interesting points from John Westfall. And NAU is in an interesting bind given the fact that they are missing their starting Fogo, but this is a team bringing a lot of talent on the attack side of the ball. Interesting that they'll be using one of those attackmen at the face-off X. On the Cal State Fullerton side, though, there's a lot of talent in the form of one guy, in Micah Willis.
Yeah, Michael Willis is a really impressive player, and it's just a freshman. He's gone out and puts up nearly 6 points a game. He's one of those guys that can really create for himself as well as others. I mean, he's got 45 goals, 41 assists, 86 points. I mean, he's such an even scorer. He's the kind of guy that can just take over a game.
Well, that's a pretty nice debut season to have as a freshman, and it's a huge asset for Cal State Fullerton, who's currently in the top 10 of the MCLA. But it's going to be a question of whether or not they'll be in the postseason tournament. But we're going to go down to the sideline with Margot McCauley, who's got head coach Mike Ansel standing by.
Margot, you ready? Go, Margot.
Earlier this season, how tough is it in such an amazing conference to beat the same team twice?
It's real tough. They're a great team. They have a lot of numbers. They're hungry. They want this game back. We got them earlier in the season. We just got to come out here and do our part, and hopefully the game goes our way.
All right. Well, not a lot of time, so I'll let you go with your team. Back to you, Trey and Chris.
So both coaches coming into this game, a lot of interesting strategy looks that we might see from each one, but clearly Cal State Fullerton coming in as the favorite here. They are the 1 seed on this half of the bracket, and on the other half, obviously, Concordia kind of reigning supreme over there. But we talked about Cal State Fullerton being number 10 in the country at 14-1. Only one loss in the year, number 10, and they might very well not be in the MCLA tournament as an at-large if they don't win this conference tournament.
Yeah, it's tough. Fullerton's been in this position before. I know a few years ago they had the Cole brothers, and they put together a really impressive season, had wins over Grand Canyon that season. Grand Canyon was a tournament team that year as well, winning the Division II tournament, and Concordia went. And Fullerton, with a solid resume, was on the outside looking in. And you see some of that going on with teams that don't necessarily schedule some of the higher powered out of conference games, and it's something that could come back to haunt Cal State Fullerton this season again.
So we're waiting the starting face-off here.
Another player to look out for Fullerton is Alex Kowalski. He's number 20. He's on the near side of the field right now, running the wing. He's a sophomore, but already a captain on the team. Got 79 points on 57 goals and 22 assists coming into today. And he's a guy who just like Michael was this season, was a huge gamer last season as a freshman. And he's a guy who can really create his own shot. Look for him to be dodging from up top and scoring that way.
Alex Simpson taking the draw for Cal State Fullerton, but it's NAU who's going to start off with possession here.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Maybe it's a strategy or what they're doing, but there's no they don't keep face-off stats for NAU, and so obviously it's hard to get a read if you haven't seen them play. on what the numbers are looking like at the face-off X for them. Like you said, their starting face-off midi is out due to injury, and they're going to be going with one of their attackmen. But you just don't have any sort of read on him.
So it's Fullerton who's going to start off with possession now after a scrum, the ground ball for the starting face-off. And it's going to be interesting to see how these teams look at one another. They did meet at one point in the regular season. That was in Flagstaff, a 12-5 win for Cal State Fullerton. But it was a little closer than that at halftime. It was 5-3 at one point. So not as if it was a blowout game from the get-go, as Cal State Fullerton had breakaway late in that one. But NAU has had an up-and-down season, to say the least, as we see Fullerton quickly getting on the board. A drive right down the middle that finds the back of the net.
Yeah, and it looked like that was Chris Cole who came away. And again, we mentioned him earlier. Took a season off, but he and his brother have been part of this program for a number of years. But certainly an impressive player.
Yeah, and most impressively, getting on the board first with 13:51 on the clock here in the first quarter. So right out of the gates, Cal State Fullerton comes out to a lead, and we'll see if the Titans continue that stretch or if NAU is going to answer the call.
Yeah, and one thing to look at when you're looking at the schedule, obviously the Lumberjacks, Northern Arizona, coming in at 7-7, 2-2 in conference. But the games where they didn't get into double digits, with the exception being North Texas, they didn't win the game. And so it's pretty clear that they're going to need to get out and do some scoring if they want to come out and get a victory today. Again, just 5 goals in the previous matchup.
Spin it that way. Get a good spin. Get a good spin.
Yeah, and you can hear the players calling out, making sure they get the ball moving around, get a good spin, get the ball around, and make sure they can settle into their offense and get in a good place.
Max, what are you doing? Max, what are you doing? You're out of position. Max. Hey, move it down to Micah. Get it to Micah. Blue.
And Fullerton still moving the ball around, but a successful season so far for the Titans at 14-1, number 10 in the country. A pass inside is broken up. It was intended for Purpura, but now it's loose in front of the crease. It's still with the Titans, and opening inside, a sidewinder shot coming.
Yeah, that's Kowalski. He's got that big lefty. So definitely look out for him, especially coming out of the unsettled situations. Very athletic player.
Bit of a long-winded possession here for Cal State Fullerton. NAU has still not had the ball on their half of the field, as we near getting 3 minutes into this first quarter.
Yeah, and still not a settled possession shot. It'll be interesting to see how long the officials let them just toss it around before getting the timer on.
Move it. Breathe.
Coach Ansel calling the plays out.
Down the side, Alex. Evan.
A lot of passing. Pretty much every player's gotten at least a couple touches over the course of this possession. Is up top, it's Max Thielen.
And there's the timer on call. 30 seconds to get a shot on cage.
Breathe. Evan, go.
Simpson has the isolation, can't do anything with it. And Fullerton's got to move at some point here. Finally get the feet inside. The BTB finds its way through. That was Kowalski getting past his defender and finishing with a fancy touch.
Yeah, Kowalski got number 58 on the season. And again, I mean, we talked about him. He's a very, very good player. This is certainly not the way NAU wanted to start this game. And it seems like, strategically at least, Fullerton is content with just holding on to the ball for as long as they can. You have to think that this might be something that Coach Ansel is putting into place, because they're a team that's been a real run-and-gun team over the last over the course of the season, and for them to go out and get the possession like that, you have to think maybe that they're thinking ahead to the championship potentially against Concordia.
And just a reminder, this is a fully interactive broadcast. You can reach us as Fullerton does it again.
It's Claytor, the junior, with his 12th goal in the season.
And he was just waiting there. He's in great position. But in transition, NAU did not get back. I mean, there was a lot of opportunities across the field. They could have scored on that one. It just happened to be Claytor who was looked to.
Yeah, textbook fast break. But definitely make sure, if you guys are tuning in, send us your tweets, comments, questions, anything you got to us at CMarshallTLN, at Trey Lanthier. We'd love to hear where you're watching from, who you're watching for, what you think is going to happen in the game, any predictions for the rest of today or even tomorrow. Love to hear from you. Again, that's at CMarshallTLN, at Trey Lanthier.
So NAU does have possession now. The Lumberjacks have still not gotten the ball across the midfield line in their favor.
Yeah, I think that's the first face-off win for them of the game, too. It's been 4 face-offs, and so that's the first win for them. I mean, I think that might be a problem for them moving forward, having a less experienced guy working from the face-off X.
So at the 10:30 mark in the first quarter, NAU finally in its offensive box, trailing by 2, though. And NAU had to pull off a pretty impressive win to get here, beating Cal State San Marcos, who'd been a dark horse team in the conference all year long, worked their way into the rankings, and suddenly in the first round they get bounced in upset fashion by NAU. So NAU back into the conference semifinals. We saw them here last year as well, as this pass was intended for a cutter through the middle, but it trickles all the way back to the goalie. And so we're going to see Cal State Fullerton take over once more.
Yeah, and that one actually at Cal State San Marcos as well, so NAU traveling to get that victory.
Yeah, and a big reason in that particular case, Austin Jenkin went down with injury for Cal State San Marcos. He's one of the most talented players in the conference. He's their Micah Willis, you could say. And so for him to go down clearly threw San Marcos in for a loop. They weren't able to come back from that, and it was NAU who gets to represent the winner of that game in this one.
I mean, you have to give credit to NAU. I mean, they went out there and hung 13 on Cal State San Marcos. I mean, if you score 11 goals, you should be able to put yourself in position to win. And, I mean, it seems like San Marcos' defense just let them down. There's Kowalski coming from up top.
And we've seen some different looks as a shot, high angle taken. That was
Thielen.
And Thielen was able to get open. The defense didn't slide quite in time, and the senior captain makes him pay.
Yeah, I mean, that's just there's no chance in the cage for NAU. You get in that tight, it's on the defense. I mean, you can't make that save if you're in the goal that close up. Thielen just pinned the top corner.
So CSU Fullerton up 3-0 now, just under 9 to play in the first quarter. And NAU is going to have to do something to stop what Cal State Fullerton is throwing their way, because on the offensive side, it doesn't seem like they have an answer in their defense.
Yeah, Cal State Fullerton's a team that's scored a ton of goals this season. I mean, they've gone over 20 on 5-6 occasions this season. And that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's a lot of goals, including a 26 and a 27 goal performance. And coming in at 248 goals on the season in their 15 games. It's impressive numbers.
A lot of conference tournament action going on all weekend long, and both tournament fields in D1 and D2 are shaping themselves up as the RMLC championship game right now being played between Utah State and Fort Lewis. And that's one that, you got to have your eye on if you're in this game, just because those are the teams that'll be probably getting somewhere around the 15-14 seed range. And it'll be interesting to see if there's any hope for a team like that to pull off an upset in the tournament. But here, between Concordia and Cal State Fullerton, SLC hoping to send 2 teams to the conference tournament for maybe the first time in a while. I'm not sure the last time we've seen both Fullerton and Concordia in the tournament, but it's going to take something to make that happen in the first place. Because Fullerton right now, number 10, but if they are able to beat Concordia, somehow, some way, pull off the upset and beat Concordia, if they were to get that automatic qualifier, you would have Concordia at number 2. As this shot taken, a nice save.
That's Smith, Ian Smith in the cage, the sophomore captain rather. He needed that one. He hasn't been able to get a touch on any of the shots yet, but that's a really good save. Get him some momentum in the cage.
Yeah, and Fullerton did a very. And here's that talented attack that NAU brings to the table. A lot of young guys. They're all freshmen, but they've been doing it all year long. As this pass up the middle ends up on the ground. And it's Kowalski who has it. Fullerton has numbers. Kowalski decided to take the rip himself, and he gets it off.
And again, it's that lefty cannon that he's got. He can score from anywhere.
But what's amazing about that is he got stunted. There was a player in the way that the stick made contact with on the follow-through and still got past Ian Smith. So we're going to see a timeout called by John Westfall of NAU, and for good reason. This is turning into a lopsided score very fast.
I mean, already 5 on the board for Fullerton, and it doesn't appear to be slowing down any. And it's tough. It's tough if you're Smith. You're letting in some. I mean, you kind of got to feel like you need to make that save if you're Smith, coming from 10 or 12 yards out, and then and that one coming through some traffic. But still, you'd like to think that he can make that save.
So we're going to send it down to Margot McCauley on the sideline for a report.
Listening in on the Northern Arizona huddle right there, their coach called a timeout to give them a break. It's pretty hot out here. I know you guys are cool and in the shade up there, but it's hot down here. He gave his team a break and said, guys, let's take a breath. We're still in this. They haven't gotten a goal yet, but he said, guys, we need to get possession of the ball. We are letting them create every opportunity and letting them possess the ball, and we're not giving ourselves a chance. Let us give ourselves a chance to get back in this game, get a point on the board, and just start building from there. Don't freak out now. It's still early on. Back to you, Trey and Chris.
All right, so we're going to take it to a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Hey guys, it's Under Armour sideline reporter Margot McCauley at the MCLA Championship.
Welcome back into Orange, California. And remember, we're a fully interactive broadcast. You can reach us on Twitter, at Trey Lanthier, at CMarshallTLN. We'd love to hear your thoughts, who you're rooting for, where you're watching from, and maybe just what you're thinking about this game. So far, it's been Cal State Fullerton, but NAU's proven they can come back. They can fight their way back into contention in the game as they win this draw on a technical rule.
This would be a good time for Northern Arizona to get a nice long possession and then take a shot.
And that's Adam Zimmerman. He's one of those guys that plays down low. And as freshmen, they've been standing out. Very impressive season so far for all three of them. And this is the moment where they need to stand out the most.
And like I was saying, they could use a longer possession here just to give their defense a rest. They've been playing a lot of defense, haven't been able to really get a solid offensive possession going. There's still so much time, and then take a shot going back the other direction. But there's so much time left in this game that they don't need to worry about being able to get back into the game, but they have to make sure that they don't get desperate.
Yeah, and on the defensive side, you have to imagine there's got to be an answer. John Westfall, a defensive player during his playing time, as any defensive player, you never want to see your team go down 5-0 in the opening, 10 minutes of a playoff game. And so I would expect to see something different. And you do see a little bit more pressure being put out along the perimeter than we saw earlier. This is Cole. Evades one man. Takes a shot. That one off the body of a defender. And the GB is going to roll all the way out to the far sideline. Finally, it's Fullerton who gets its own rebound.
And that's nice help defense there that's disrupting the shot from Chris Cole. You're sending that extra man there and forcing him to take that shot through traffic.
Got to be brutal to take it off the body, though.
Yeah, that feels terrible. Like I can tell you for sure. And this is a lot further out than I would probably play on Kowalski.
And let's see if Kowalski can make him pay. Looks like he is going to try with the drive. Has the pick, but not as effective as he may have wanted it to be.
Dangerously close to a moving pick. I think Fullerton fortunate not to get a change of possession there.
And Kowalski does burn past his man. The defense converges. He's shoved to the ground. A flag is down. And so we're going to get a call going against NAU.
That's probably going to be a push with possession. You see the technical call from the official down there. I don't know about that one. It's Kowalski's a big kid. It looked like he got him in the side more than the back, but they're closer to it than we are up here, and I definitely trust their judgment. But definitely a close call to put NAU down one man with 3:44 to go in the first. Definitely gut check time for the Lumberjacks.
That's our first look at the extra man unit for Fullerton. And with the way they've been finding space on 6-on-6, you would expect this should be a pretty good time for them. And it is. A low-angle shot from deep comes.
That's Evan Papura with the low-to-low worm burner 5-hole on Smith. And it looked like Smith saw it coming. He just couldn't get his body moved fast enough. He's pretty tight from Papura, about 7 yards, and just sends that one 5-hole.
Yeah, and now at a 6-0 game with 3:30 on the clock, NAU's going to have to get something going soon here. I mean, obviously there's a lot of time left to play, but just the fact that they haven't been able to break this stretch of Fullerton offense makes you wonder if they are able to on the defensive side.
It's tough. They're just not getting a lot of possession right now. They're not winning very many face-offs, and every time Fullerton's getting it down on the offensive side of the field, pretty much they're scoring, and that's not a good way to win the game if you're NAU. Fullerton just looking like they're too much for them right now.
Another shot taken. That one a bounce and misses off to the right-hand side, but Fullerton will keep possession.
That's another freshman, Alex Simpson.
Yeah, Simpson, kind of a multi-purpose guy. We saw him take some face-offs. We've seen him on either side of the field, but he seems to get touches on the ball pretty much every time on the offensive side. He just hadn't pulled the trigger until right there.
Yeah, a guy that's is more of a pass-first guy. He's got 25 assists on the season, only 14 goals. So I think maybe looking at the scouting report, you're not expecting him to come and take that shot in transition, but rather feed one of the attackmen.
And again, looking at that very slow tempo look of this Fullerton offense.
I mean, you have to think there's some strategy going into that. Fullerton, one of the smaller teams out there in this tournament, have to make sure that they can conserve as much energy as they possibly can, having to go back-to-back if they're able to win the game. I'm definitely fortunate to be in the all-white kits today. But I mean, you couldn't ask for a nicer day for lacrosse. It's a nice wrap check, and then Kowalski gets the ground ball. Great footwork and stick work from the sophomore.
And Ian Smith with the heads-up play and try and chase down that ball out of bounds. Unfortunately, didn't get there in time, so the Titans will keep possession. As this pass up the middle, it's Kowalski who's met by a crowd of defenders. The ball is still loose. However, it'll stay with CSUF. And honestly, if you're the NAU defense, how exhausted are you right now?
I mean, you got to be pretty tired. I mean, you can see they're swarming the defense. They're swarming the ball when it's inside the box, but they're not chasing the ground balls. And there's going to be a push going against Fullerton.
Yeah, so a break for NAU as they're going to head back the other way. And you have to imagine the offense would want to slow down here and give its defense a chance to catch its breath. Instead, a quick shot and an easy save for Lorino, or maybe not the easiest of saves. He had to get a little low for it.
Lorino's a guy who makes a lot of position saves. He's a guy who puts himself in a good spot to make saves. I mean, a good number of saves that goalies make aren't with their stick. It's just because they're in the right spot. They cut the angle down and put themselves in a position to be successful. And Lorino's very, very good fundamentally in the cage.
So 26 seconds before the end of the first quarter. Fullerton with a 6-0 lead, trying to make it 7-0. Cole up top spins away from a defender, takes a bounce shot, a bit too slow developing on the bounce, though, as it was an easy save for Smith to get his shoulder to.
Yeah, that one had the top corner written all over it in the last 6 seconds.
3 seconds, a final shot taken, but a save made, and that one's going to be on the ground. Nothing forms on that chance for Fullerton. So NAU, Cal State Fullerton, head into the quarter break with 6-0 on the scoreboard. The Titans in the lead. When we come back, we'll see if NAU can answer this strong first quarter. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the SLC Lacrosse semifinals. Welcome back into Orange, California, where we're one quarter in, and we're going to toss it down pretty soon here to the sideline. And a quality first quarter for both teams, but now we're going to toss it down to Margot McCauley on the sideline.
All right, guys, they're at the break listening in to the Fullerton side. Coach Mike Ansel telling his side, we did exactly what I thought we would do. We got out to a comfortable lead. Now let's possess the ball. Let's keep the ball. Let's not make ourselves do extra work out here. We've got a comfortable lead. Let's keep the ball, and let's start looking ahead and preparing ourselves physically for the game we might be playing tomorrow. Back to you, Trey and Chris.
Thanks, Margot, for some sideline insight you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, it's certainly a luxury having her down on the sideline for us. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. She gets right in the middle of those huddles, listens in on the coaches, and I mean it's a lot of fun to get that extra insight. And she's pretty brave being in there by all those lacrosse players, because I've talked to some of them post game and they smell like lacrosse.
That's a nice way of saying it, I guess. Trey Lanthier alongside Chris Marshall here with an SLC semifinal between Cal State Fullerton and Northern Arizona. Fullerton in white, NAU in blue.
And that's the strategy Coach Ansel was talking about. I mean, they're going to want to hold on to this ball as long as they can, for as much to obviously keep them from giving up any goals, but also if they're just spinning the ball and not dodging the cage and not running up and down in transition, they're saving energy. And I mean, it's still early in the game, But if you're up 6-0 and with the kind of momentum they have, I mean, maybe it's time to start thinking about where you can conserve energy and where you can get things going for a matchup in the final tomorrow.
And Fullerton does have a nice 6-0 lead, but NAU is a team that can be feisty as an opponent. They can fight their way back into a game as easily as they can get down big in a game. Looking at this looking at this NAU season, an interesting score was actually a 10-5 result against San Diego State. SDSU obviously on the D1 side, but clearly a pretty nice finish considering what San Diego State has become. They're a top 10 MCLA D1 team, only losing that one by 5 goals. And then coming out, beating Cal State San Marcos in their second meeting.
Yeah, after losing, or they lost 12-8 at home on March 7th earlier this season. That's a big win. That's a big gritty win for them in the playoffs against San Marcos, having to go to their building and coming away with a 2-goal victory.
And they're trying to pull it off again here against Fullerton. Obviously, a much different team talent-wise than San Marcos, and just historically, but still definitely doable. However, Fullerton going with those long-winded possessions again, and it looks like that's the strategy that's been paying off for them after the first quarter. They're going to stick with it, as it's really been those 50-50 ground balls that have come back to bite NAU. Every time the ball's been on the ground, Fullerton's been able to come up with it on its own offensive side.
That's a great check coming across the body.
Yeah, that was Cole back at X trying to get a bit too crafty maybe.
Well, it's tough because this NAU defense has been playing so much. They haven't been able to really catch a break. So those possessions where they're losing the 50-50 battles, I mean, it has to be because they're tired. They're trying to play a high pressure defense. You play high pressure defense for 15 of the first 20 minutes. It's you're going to be gassed.
NAU, a very attack-heavy offense, as we see a pass inside, almost batted home. That one was intended down low, right in front of the crease, for Riley Horton, but nothing shaped up for it.
And Horton very lucky.
A shot taken high to high on the streak, and I believe that was Adam Zimmerman who came up with the goal.
Yeah, that's a great shot. Low angle, kind of a quick stick. Really, really impressive work. And what I was saying on that before that goal was they were really fortunate on that one. Horton was definitely in the crease after he took that shot, and the official had already looked the other direction. So it's the missed call giving NAU a shot at scoring a goal, which they did.
So it's now a 5-goal game as NAU gets on the board for the first time early here in the second quarter, but another face-off win goes to Fullerton. However, ball is still loose. Could be a big chance for NAU.
You look at there's 3 white shirts and only 1 dark there on that ground ball, but fortunate to get the push, change possession there for NAU.
And it's an interesting contrast because NAU clearly wants to move very fast on their offensive side, but you have to imagine their deep holes at the other end can't be appreciating that right now.
Well, and you can just see by their body language down there on the defensive side of the field, some of those guys are tired. I mean, they should be. It's like he likes his matchup.
Working around for behind the net, the turnaround try doesn't quite find the cage.
Like that one coming from Essery. Ansel almost with that toe drag. Sorry, Zimmerman.
Zimmerman's pass trickles all the way out up top. Jeffrey Gibb with the rip.
And this is definitely the most comfortable that NAU's offense has looked all day.
Well, honestly, it's the longest possession they've had all day.
Well, but they're getting good shots too. I mean, the first couple possessions they had, they'd get the ball and then they'd take like a 10-yard outside shot without a whole lot on it. These have been good shots coming from NAU in these last couple of possessions. And Fullerton actually playing a little further out on defense in this possession.
A hard shot taken on. Loreno was able to get low, and the GBs picked up by the Fullerton defense.
That was a great save. So he had to come all the way across his body. That one was off stick low, and he moved the stick down. And there's a big hit coming across the middle of the field. Bounces right to Fullerton. Fullerton's just getting the bounces right now. I mean, they're playing well. They're playing smart lacrosse, but, you see an instance like that, take a big hit coming across the middle, one bounce right into your stick. It's things are going your way.
And something that, you mentioned earlier, Chris, is the fact that Fullerton has such a limited roster that makes it hard for them sometimes to go deep in games. And it's one of the reasons that SLC teams tend to fare poorly in the MCLA tournament is because both Concordia and Fullerton have always historically had limited rosters. And when you go through a 4-quarter stretch against a contending team, it's always going to be tough.
Well, I mean, I think in the Division II, there's not quite as much parity as at the Division I level. It's you've got teams out there that are at the top, your St. Thomas's and your I'm not even. I want to say Davenport, Westminster, or Grand Valley.
You're an old.
I know. It's all those
gentleman.
guys. But those teams function in a virtual varsity type environment where they've got 30, 40 guys, and there are a lot fewer Division II teams that carry those kind of numbers. And like you said, it's tough to compete with a team that's got 3 lines of or even just 2 lines of midfielders if you are cycling through 4 guys like a Cal State Fullerton or even a Concordia, who's not a very big squad either, considering how successful they've been.
8:20 on the clock here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and make sure send us your tweets, comments, questions. We'd love to hear from you. Always makes the broadcast more fun and exciting for us. I hope it does the same for you. So keep sending those our way at Trey Lanthier, at C Marshall TLN, and at Margot McCauley. And there's the flag. Got to call that one. Gets up under the chin strap there.
And every single ref on the field threw a flag on that play, as those are the plays that are scariest to see develop, just because of what can happen when a stick ends up at that region of someone's body.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I mean, the only time, there certainly wasn't any sort of malicious intent with that one. It looked like he just got caught up and got up under the chin there. But any time you're in around the neck or the head, they're going to throw the flag pretty much no matter what, and rightfully so, as NAU wants to talk this over before they go man up.
And we'll see what kind of look they're going to throw out onto the field. But for right now, we're going to go down to the sideline where our wonderful, awesome sideline reporter, Margot McCauley, is standing by to give you the report on NAU.
All right, listening into the Northern Arizona huddle, the coach said, guys, great defense out there. And just like last week, let's come back. Let's win this game. They said last week they were down 5 goals, came back to upset their opponent, and that's exactly what they're looking to do today. He said, but we need to score right now. We need to get on the board right now and get a couple more goals before halftime so we can get back in this game and give ourselves a chance to win it. Back to you, Trey and Chris.
Thanks, Margot. And she brings up a great point, being that this is a team that had to come back in their last game. This is a team that knows what it means to make a comeback.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same thing we saw last night in that Chapman Arizona State game. Chapman went up 3-0 early in the first quarter and ended up losing that game by 2. So lacrosse is a game of runs, and the game's never over until it's over. I've seen some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, Grand Canyon scored something like 4 or 5 goals in about a minute and a half span in the early game yesterday too. So it's certainly not over, as NAU's been able to slow down Fullerton a little bit here in this second quarter.
So NAU with the man up. And a quick chance inside. Loreno aggressively got out there. Now the backhand try goes over the top of the cage. And fortunately, someone was back there for it, but that is one that you want back if you're NAU.
Yeah, Sean Mastro comes in there, takes the shot, and actually coming up a little limping right now, but can't afford to lose him.
And NAU does get on the board as a celebration ensues after they get that one through. I believe it was Cody Essery who scored for the Lumberjacks.
Looked like it might have been Horton. But anyway, you slice it. That's a really impressive goal. He was outside about 10 yards, pins it top corner, off stick. That's a really, really good shot. He comes over the top. It's a really fundamental shot, and that's exactly what you want to see if you're a coach.
Yeah, and NAU clearly making their mark as of late right now. Still a comfortable 4-goal lead for Fullerton, but after back-to-back scores are on the board for NAU, you have to imagine that this coaching staff for Fullerton has got to start thinking about how they're going to stop this NAU offense.
Yeah, it looks like Tubner down taking a face-off for NAU out there with the pole, so trying to mix it up at the face-off X, trying to have a little bit better success, but Fullerton again coming away with the ground ball. It was Matsumoto.
7:15 left in the second quarter. Both teams have gotten a lot of chances so far in this game, but it's Fullerton who's been able to capitalize. A lot of very long possessions, but they have yet to score here in the second.
Yeah, it certainly feels like the momentum has shifted a little bit. Still a 4-goal game, but NAU definitely looking more confident at both ends of the field right now.
Cole gets it to Simpson, who goes low with it, but I'm not sure if that one ever got its way to the cage. Maybe just a pass altogether.
Looked like it might have hit the pipe.
But in another example of a ground ball picked up by Fullerton as Kowalski tries to get past his man, he's caught up.
That's a hold.
And I would have to agree. I'm not sure why. The ref was looking right at it on the far side. Here's Cole, who also gets held. This time flag him down. Cole still puts it through.
Yeah, and both officials had it on that one. And that's you just got to be careful. You got to get lower. And you got to match feet with the athletes that Fullerton has, and the defenders from NAU just aren't getting it done. If the guy's by you, you got to throw a trail check and let the slide come and get him. But they were fortunate not to get 2 holds on that possession. And that's kind of a big goal for Fullerton. It seems funny to say because they're up 5 goals, but NAU was getting some momentum and looked sharp.
So 6:13 on the clock. In the second quarter, Cal State Fullerton breaks an NAU stretch and then wins that faceoff. Another swing of momentum in their favor. 7-2 the score, but it's gotten much closer since this second quarter has gotten underway.
Yeah, it looked like that was a kicking the cross procedure call going against NAU. I think this is going to turn out to be one of those situations for NAU where you just can't spot the other guy's 5 goals to start the game. You know, it's tough to come back and win a game when you're doing that, because you have to fight so much harder to get those goals back.
Well, and most importantly, with the way Cal State Fullerton has had ball control, a forte of theirs so far in this game, that's going to be hardest because you've not only got to work against the deficit, but you have to work against the clock. And Cal State Fullerton has been running out so much time on their possessions and still turning in scoring efforts.
There's a nice defensive switch, gets Kowalski the shorty. This has got to be the matchup they want to go at, but already looking like they want to make that quick slide. Kowalski still has the shorty matchup. You have to think this is where they're going to want to go. And you can hear the calls coming from the NAU sideline that they're killing time, but they've gotten a couple of shots on cage.
An open chance in the middle, and it's going to be a goal. That one coming courtesy of Max Thielen, who had just enough space to go high on Ian Smith.
Yeah, and that's a great play. And he knows he's going to absorb absorb some pressure there and maybe take a hit, but he gets inside and a lot of composure, keeping his stick up high and away from the defender to get that shot in past Smith. And again, the defense for NAU not really doing Smith any favors right now. He's getting a lot of shots inside of 5 yards, which are nearly impossible to save. Any save that you make if you're a goalie inside of 5 yards is half a lucky guess.
So the score now 8-2 with 4:40 on the clock. And Fullerton has re-extended its lead to 6 goals, the same deficit we saw NAU face coming into this quarter. But it is going to be the Lumberjacks' possession after this face-off.
And just under 4.5 minutes to play in this first half. And you got to take a couple more steps up above GLE. It just doesn't look like Sean Mastro is moving very well. So he might have a bum wheel. Because it didn't seem like there was a slide coming there.
A chance shapes up for the Lumberjacks, but that shot's off the mark. However, a man was back for it. Now they're just going straight to the cage, and another lateral try from GLE.
Yeah, and that's Mastro. And again, it's the same thing. He gets one step above GLE, and then there's a big hit from Simpson. Simpson does it all for this Fullerton squad. But he's got to get 1 or 2 more steps above GLE.
And opening and going low. It looked like maybe 5-hole was Kyle Kohler.
Yeah, and it's an unsettled situation. Coming in, getting the ball, recognizing that there's space moving forward, and going in and taking advantage. I mean, again, same deal on that side. Not a whole lot you're going to be able to do if you're Loreno, as he did his best to get in front of that one, but coming in close, changing the plane on the shot. Nice work.
8-3 the score now. Fullerton still in the lead, but NAU has put 3 goals on the board in the second quarter. In fact, they're outscoring Fullerton in the second quarter 3-2.
I mean, that's what you got to do if you're NAU. You just concentrate on going out and winning the quarter. If you win the last 3 quarters, you put yourself in a position to win the game. And instead of concentrating on the deficit, just concentrate on each play and each quarter individually and going out there and trying to win. Kind of a late flag for an offsides there. Looked like Zimmerman might have caught himself, but now you see him coming back down on defense as they're going to play 7-on-6 with the offside call coming. And Zimmerman running all over the field, trying to apply that extra pressure with the double team. I'd almost like to see him go back into the center and serve as the first slide, rather than run around and waste a bunch of energy.
Fullerton really drawing out this pre-penalty possession. As it's finally on the ground, NAU finally brings the call.
Looked like Papura's eyes got pretty big on that play.
Navy! Hey, in! Navy! Navy!
And you can hear John Westfall.
Blue 3, offsides, 30 seconds. Blue 3, offsides, 30.
Yeah, and so there you go, 30-second offsides. We knew that one was the one that was coming. Going against Adam Zimmerman.
So Fullerton with a 5-goal lead, but it's been that 6-goal threshold that's been their comfort zone, it seems like. See if they can get back there, as some aggressive defense being played by NAU on the outside.
Yeah, they've got to be careful not to get overextended, especially in this man-down situation. Laser beam. Top shelf. Michael Willis gets on the board for his first of the day.
And it's hard to believe we haven't called Michael Willis' name out until just there, but that's an example of how many weapons there are for Fullerton, as Willis gets open for just a hair of a moment, and he's able to make it count.
Yeah, I mean, that's the important thing about this Cal State Fullerton squad, is that obviously you look at the stat sheet and you know who their best players are, but there's any number of guys who can go out there and score goals and hurt you.
So with 2:17 on the clock, again, Fullerton back to a 6-goal lead. They've been doing a good job of staving off NAU, as the Lumberjacks have put a little bit of momentum together on the offensive side, but it hasn't done enough to deter Cal State Fullerton on the other end.
NAU back at full strength. The rest of the penalty gets wiped off with the goal there. That's a pretty ambitious shot coming from Tubner, with the pole from 15 yards out, low to high.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's just trying to break up the monotony of this possession so far. That's a quality shot there, but Lorino is able to see to it. Another deep chance for NAU. That one didn't come anywhere near the cage.
And that's what I talked about earlier. It's a position save. Lorino never saw that ball. It hit him in the shoulder. And so it's one of those things. He made that save because he was in good position.
And a body on the ground on the near side, but it's going to stay with NAU.
That's a veteran play from Mastro, the freshman, recognizing where he was on the field, recognizing he had nowhere to go, and then just taking the push.
And Mastro is ducking past guys like it's nothing. Finishes with the bounce shot, but it's soft and short of the cage.
Yeah, and this one might be an instance where they can score a goal and come out man up. Looked like he might have gotten caught in the head, and that one just misses the top corner.
And that was Cody Essery on the turnaround try, who took a hit as he released on that one.
Again, the rule change over the last couple of seasons. That's a great check. They're going to be able to keep playing until they get possession.
And it looks like they're going to rule this ball dead. Maybe when Fullerton got a touch on the ball, down low perhaps.
It seemed like kind of an early stoppage to me on that one. Fullerton didn't have possession. It'll be interesting to see what the call is. So there you have a legal body check on 18. That's Mendenhall, the junior. So he's going to be on timeout for a minute. And just which will be the rest of this quarter. Exactly 1 minute left in the first half.
So this is a big chance for NAU to capitalize and try and give themselves something to hold their heads high about heading into the break. You don't want to head in down 6 goals and having wasted a chance to score in the last minute.
Yeah, this is a big momentum goal going into the half. I mean, like I said, 5 goals is not a margin that's impossible to come back from. What a rip.
Riley Horton. Ladies and gentlemen, get to know this man as he pinned it top right corner, and the defense was in the right position. It wasn't even as if that was a man-up goal per se. It was just Riley Horton himself manning up.
Yeah, that's the second time we've seen him take nearly that exact same shot from the same spot and pin it in that off-stick top corner. Really impressive shot. And it cuts the lead back down to 5 at 9-4, and the rest of the penalty wiped out as they are back up to full strength on the Fullerton side.
Yeah, and you have to wonder what each team's strategy coming into these final 40 seconds is going to be, and if we'll continue to see aggressiveness from Fullerton, but it won't matter because it's Mastro who wins that face-off, and now we're going to have a chance to see if NAU can narrow the lead to 4 again. A turnaround shot, Lorino there for it again, and that shoulder has got to be killing him right now.
Oh, and that's a really tough break coming across. John Mitchell, the freshman, I think he heard the footsteps, had a lot more time than he thought. He was up there by himself. And if you're his teammates, you got to let him know that he's got some time to pick that up.
So it looks like we're going to see a Fullerton timeout as they check the ball into the box, and they've got 14 seconds to work with on the board, trying to hit double digits maybe before halftime and reclaim that 6-goal lead.
And this is a great opportunity for Coach Ansel to draw something up. Get a play where you've got to 10 seconds left in a quarter or 10 seconds left in a half or something like that you can practice and get on the go. But we'll be right back, so don't go anywhere.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way. It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
And we're back here in Ernie Chapman Stadium here in Orange, California. SLC semifinal action. Cal State, Fullerton, Northern Arizona. Trey Lanthier alongside Chris Marshall here to bring you this action. We've got all the games this weekend. Don't miss the next one between Concordia and UC San Diego, as well as the championship games of both D1 and D2 that will be played tomorrow. But we still got some action for you here in this first half. 10 seconds on the board, and it's Simpson who's going to bring it in for Fullerton. Nothing shaping up. Finally inside, and they put it through. 3 seconds on the board, and Cal State Fullerton has hit double digits.
And that's a great play call. You see the two, and there's going to be a flag, you have to think, for probably yelling at the ref. But it's Cal State Fullerton. You see a series of 3 picks coming across the center with both the midfielders from up top cutting across the middle and then freeing up some space for that crease player. Really well drawn play, and we're going to get a penalty almost for sure for yelling at the ref.
Good. The push, the technical foul was waved off.
Yeah, so the foul waved off for the push once the goal was scored.
So 10 for the score. I don't think 3 seconds is enough time for either team to do any damage with, and we'll see this face-off bring the half to a close. Fullerton up 10-4, and NAU started to make it look like they might be on the comeback, but it ends up right back to square one, down 6 goals, the same amount they trailed by heading into this second quarter.
Yeah, and you could definitely see some frustration coming out from the defensive players as they're out there spending a lot of time playing. Offense really isn't doing them any favors, taking quick shots, not getting any longer possessions. But they've got to make sure they can regroup at half and calm each other down.
You guys ready?
Yeah, we're just about ready to send it down to Under Armour sideline reporter who's going to be talking with head coach Ansel.
I can't hear you. What'd you say? Oh, all right, Coach. Off to a strong start there. What were you most impressed with in that first half?
We kind of like I touched on earlier, we're short some numbers today, which is a little frustrating, and it's hot. I'm just making sure that the kids, do the right things. Get the ball down, settle it down. Defense, play good defense, try to get the ball back down to our offense. But just the pace of game has been in our favor for the most part. So I just hope to keep that going.
You're up 6 at the half with potentially a championship game ahead of you tomorrow. Mm-hmm. How do you keep your guys mentally focused in the second half on this game?
Just let them know the game's only half over. College games are long, and they did it to San Marcos last week. They were down 10-5 at half, ended up winning. So, I'm going to kind of try to instill that in their head, and then just move forward from there.
I know you said you're missing a few guys. Who is stepping up in their absence?
It's just kind of a collective team effort. A couple guys that aren't playing defense. We're missing like 2 or 3 pulls today, so that it was just a huge heartbreaker to the school stuff going on. But hopefully we'll get them back tomorrow if we make it that far. But yeah, everyone's kind of stepping up, not really anyone individually.
All right, thanks, Coach. I'll let you be with your team. Guys, I know you might not have seen this from the sideline, but there at the end of the half, we've got to report this. We had number 10, Sean Mastro of Northern Arizona, come off the field. He actually lost his lunch on the sideline, put his helmet back on, didn't brush his teeth, but came out and won the very next face-off. Pretty impressive from a guy. It shows that Northern Arizona not giving up yet. They're still fighting, still battling, trying to win this game. Back to you, Trey and Chris.
So we've got a report on Sean Mastro. Some inside details there from Margot McCauley. And Chris, you mentioned that Mastro looked like he may be limping a little bit, a little gingerly. Still able to come up with that face-off win, though.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get a report from Margot on what he had for breakfast.
I would agree. I think that's the stuff we need to hear about. That's the stuff we need to know.
Yeah, but I mean, both like Coach Ansel said, this NAU team is still in this game. They came back against a really good San Marcos team and held them to 1 goal in the second half. And they got to go out and continue to play their game and not get too frustrated and see what they can do.
So with that, we're going to call the half to a break. We'll be right back in just about 7.5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. We've got a whole half of action coming up next. You're watching the SLC semifinal on the SLC's.
Hey guys, sideline reporter Margot McCauley Chips.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way. It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Yesterday burn and throw it in a fire.
NAU.
All right, Coach, you struggled there in the first, but you did better in the second half. What did you say to your team at the half, at the break, to let them know they're still in this game?
I just said it's Sunday all over again. We were down 10-5 at San Marcos last Sunday. Now we're down 10-4. Just got to come back the second half. Got to get the ball. We got to control the ball and get the ball to our offense. If we get the ball to our offense, the game changes.
All right, thanks, Coach. I'll let you be with your team. That's all we have the time for, but you heard it from him. They are not out of this game yet. They're still here, still ready to play, and hopefully they get on the board early and we turn this into a dogfight. Back to you, Trey and Chris.
Still a lot of lacrosse to be played. 2 full quarters, 6 goals is not going to determine this game just yet.
Yeah, I mean, all you really need if you're Northern Arizona is Ian Smith to get hot. He's made a couple of good saves, and he's certainly got the capability of going out and doing some impressive stuff. So if he gets hot and the defense starts winning some of those ground ball battles, that's hard to say, then they'll get themselves right back into this game again. Only allowing 1 goal in the second half to a very good San Marcos team last Sunday. There's a big face-off win for Mastro again as he sends his way off the field.
So Fullerton up 10-4, but NAU with the opening possession in this half trying to start their comeback trail. A chance opens inside. Zimmerman with the turnaround shot, but it misses just off to the left.
I mean, I think you got to get the ball in Mastro's stick like it is right now and let him go to work.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Mastro earlier in this game. Mastro evaded about 6 guys on 1 possession.
He draws the double, sends it up top. He's a big kid. Go out there and use his size to his advantage.
And opening up the middle, but the shot, I don't think it ever got past the first line of the defense. May have gone off a body.
Yeah, it looked like it might have hit one of the sticks on the slide. There's a great check on the bottom hand, textbook. And Mastro didn't see the defenseman coming.
And this one is going to be out on NAU. So it looks like they got the last touch. Might have been Cody Essery down there on the baseline.
Yeah, and NAU has had a couple of tough breaks right near the boundary where they've missed the opportunity at getting a ground ball and have ended up just pushing the ball out of bounds. Just gotta get that backhand lower and get down there and run through those ground balls.
So other games going on right now across the country. Western Oregon, Western Washington facing off against one another. That's a game tied at 6s in the third quarter. And those teams are both teams that ended up playing Cal State Fullerton this year. So we've had a chance to see how the PNCLL stacks up with the SLC. And a turnaround shot goes up over the top of the cage.
It's Spencer Core had his man hung up there. And NAU did a good job of forcing him to one direction and not letting him get a real good shot off. That was a nice look inside from Chris Cole.
So Fullerton starting this third quarter off the way we saw him play in that first quarter by letting the play slowly develop. Simpson up top. Tries to get past his man, and a lot of sticks tend to be holding guys up. We do see a flag on this play. Simpson takes a tumble. He'll go to the ground. So it will be a hold. And it's interesting. We've seen a lot of those. It's not, I guess, you don't see it that commonly. But in this game, there's incidentally just been a lot of them.
I mean, it's just not great fundamental defense is what it comes down to. And you got to move your feet. and they haven't been doing that. But it's tough because I'm sure they're tired. They've been playing a lot of defense. But it looked like Tubner was trying to show that Simpson was the one holding onto his stick. If you want to do that, you got to let go. You got to let go of your own stick. I mean, you can't keep on keeping a hold of it with one hand. I mean, if Simpson's holding it and you take your hands off it, he's going to continue holding it. And that one off the pipe, great look from up top from Michael Willis.
Yeah, Michael Willis has been relatively quiet today compared to what we've seen from him all year long. But whenever he does get a chance at the cage, it's always got that extra mustard on it.
Was it spicy mustard?
Perhaps. A deli mustard?
No? Love deli mustard. Another unforced error for NAU.
And that's a mistake in the clear. Now, looking up ahead in the fast break, a lot of confusion, but Fullerton takes advantage. That one coming from Evan Purpura. And honestly, NAU had the numbers back there. There was just no idea where the ball was.
It's those bounces. Again, that one, it was a deflection off one of the defenseman's sticks, and it went directly into the stick of Purpura. He caught it right out of the air. He got it in stride, and then took 2 steps and then took the shot. I mean, no chance for Smith. He didn't have time to even reset his feet. It's just, it's pretty amazing, kind of some of the fortunate bounces that Fullerton's, not to take anything away from how well they're playing, but some of the fortunate bounces that they're getting. I mean, things are going right their way, and it's 11-11. So make a wish.
11-4 the score at the, as you mentioned, 11-minute mark.
And definitely, if you haven't yet, go ahead and take the time to send us your tweets, comments, questions, anything you got, as we see an over and back as Lacrosse newly this season going into kind of a basketball style, back across the midline rule, backcourt rule.
Yeah, and at first there was a lot of confusion. A lot of teams were taking full advantage of that by having prepared better than other teams. Now, I think it's kind of just become regular. I mean, nobody has there hasn't been too big of an issue with it since that rule was instilled at the start of the season.
Well, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. Last season, the way the rule worked is if it went back onto your defensive side of the field and then you picked it up, there was immediately a timer-on situation where you'd have 30 seconds to get a shot off. And then you see Tubner dropping his stick like that, making sure that he wasn't getting the hold call. But now you see the defenseman come up and then try and stop the ball before it gets over the line, because that's still legal. It's just a matter of the ball crossing the line, which leads to a turnover. Just under 10 minutes to play. Cole from up top.
And Cole makes a beautiful move. He goes low on Smith. And that first dodge that he makes on the run is what creates a separation. A hard-earned goal puts Fullerton up 8, their largest lead of the game.
Yeah, and it's so fluid. He takes that little drop step, switches hands, gets it in his left. Didn't even need to put a whole lot on that shot. Just puts it where the goalie's not. I mean, that is a really nice lacrosse play.
.947 on the board here in the third quarter. A lot of time to work with still, but it seems like it's benefiting Fullerton as time goes on. NAU having trouble responding to what the Titans are throwing their way. Another possession for Fullerton. And this half starting very similarly to the way we saw the first half start, where NAU was unable to get the ball into their own half of the field for significant stretches of time. Simpson dodges one man and burns another. Now goes top shelf with the try, and the save was there. Simpson clearly frustrated with himself to not be able to bury that one.
And that's a nice save by Smith. He gets all the way across his body, saves that one top shelf, and you see Simpson come by and give him a little bit of a fist bump. Let him know that he knows that Smith got him on that one. Ball going to stay with Fullerton though.
Yeah, Smith on the roster. He's a sophomore, but he's a senior. This will be his last year with the team. So, looking ahead for NAU, this is a team with a lot of youth, which we've been talking about earlier. On that attack, they've got 3 freshmen. Now, if you're the rest of the SLC, you have to imagine it's going to be bothersome seeing them, but this is the Cal State Fullerton attack putting itself on the board yet again, as it's Spencer Core, the freshman listed as a midi, who was working around from X, got an opening, and puts another one on the board.
Yeah, we've been seeing a little bit of an invert set where some of the middies are working from X, trying to take advantage of their matchups. They've got some shorties that they're going at, and it's really been successful. One thing to be on the lookout for, we'll see if we can get some more information from Margot, but saw Alex Simpson limping around a little bit. Looks like he might be sitting on the bench now, but definitely a guy that you don't want to see go down if you're Cal State Fullerton, especially in a game now where you're up 9. Maybe a time now to shut him down if he doesn't have any sort of injury.
Yeah, and it's always something to question as a coach. When is the right time to start resting guys in what's looking like it's going to be a blowout game? Because we talked about it, there's plenty of time still on the clock for NAU to make this comeback, but trailing by 9 goals, typically, as a coach, you're in a position where you can start to think about benching guys and putting in some subs. But for Fullerton, there's not really too many subs to be putting in.
Well, we talked about this yesterday in that Grand Canyon game. They played their starters the whole game, and in the fourth quarter, San Diego State started to make it interesting. And you think maybe the game gets a little closer if you got their second and third string guys in there if you're Grand Canyon. And it's a tough call. I mean, you really have to be smart about what you're doing because you also want to make sure you guys stay in rhythm. And there's only 7 guys suited up on the sideline for Fullerton, so it's not like they're going to go that deep into the bench anyway.
Kowalski from the top. Can't get open for that left-hand rip. Instead decides to pass it down. But I'm not sure exactly if it just left his stick before he's expecting it to.
It's a lift on the defensive side. You get in there with that pull, and you push up on that lead elbow, and it definitely disrupts the passing angle, makes the ball go over the player that he was looking to pass it to.
Another GB for Fullerton, and I'd like to look at those stats after the game to see how that pans out, because it feels like Fullerton's been winning 70-75% of the balls that are on the ground.
I mean, for the most part, it seems like when Mastro is not taking a face-off, it's going Fullerton's way. Mastro had pretty good success for Northern Arizona, but he just can't do it all. We saw on the sideline already having a little trouble. There's Kowalski with it. And that one picked off.
And just a heads-up play by the long pole, as now we're going to see if this can shape into anything. Zimmerman was slow on the reception of that pass. He's able to get open, though. And now a rip from mid-range doesn't get past anyone. Cody Essery's shot goes off the mark. And it looks like Cal State Fullerton was back for it. And I'm not sure why Essery's taking that shot if no one is backing it up.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't feel like Northern Arizona is valuing their offensive possessions enough.
And a reminder that tweet in at us, at Trey Lanthier, at Chris Marshall, C Marshall TLN. Chris, we haven't gotten much Twitter interaction at all. I'm a little bummed about it. I'm not sure. Are we losing popularity? I mean, it might just be you.
It's
probably what it is.
Yeah.
That's a great save from Smith. Cole went low on him, and Smith saw it.
Kowalski almost with the behind the back there. Ambitious. But
yeah, I mean, I'm hurt.
Listen, Trey. It's not me. It's you.
And you tell me this every night, Chris, but I'm getting a lot of tweets. I'm not so sure that your tweet numbers are looking as quality. But please do tweet in at us. Make us feel a little better about ourselves. At Trey Lanthier, at C Marshall TLN. And tweet your player of the game vote at our Under Armour sideline reporter, Margot McCauley, at Margot McCauley, as she tends to have the biggest fan love of any of us here in the broadcast team.
She is certainly more popular than we are.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like I said, it's a real luxury having her on the sideline. She does a great job, and she gets in there and gets all the inside information that we need, and it's really nice to have that.
Yeah, it's a huge addition to our team. We've done this for the last couple of years, and it definitely gets a lot easier when you've got that extra voice in there, and that additional insight is going low, coming around from the outside of the crease was Mastro. And this is a guy who, if you let him get open, he's going to make something like that happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy, it's 40-plus goals on the season, 43 now, and he can create his own shot because he's pretty quick. He's got good feet. For kind of a bigger guy, I mean, he's definitely got some muscle behind those cuts. But he's a guy that can hurt you. But he's been trying to do so much, taking the face-offs, playing defense, playing attack. It's too much. And again, check out our Twitter handles right there on the screen. If you're watching this from a computer,
we're desperate.
Yeah.
We're desperate. This is desperation times for us.
At C. Marshall
we haven't gotten a tweet yet.
At Trey Lanthier. You haven't.
Well, maybe that's true. Maybe you have. Maybe you're keeping your tweets to yourself. 4:25 on the clock here in the third quarter. Fullerton up 13-5. NAU was able to get on the board in their last possession. They're still going to have to make quite the comeback to pull this one off. As Fullerton with possession, and they haven't really slowed up on the offensive side one bit.
Yeah, kind of surprised we haven't seen them take longer possessions here in the third quarter. Maybe this is the one, but it seems like they've been going to cage more, maybe trying to run the score up a little bit, kind of break the spirit a little more of NAU, so that they can hold on to it longer and give their defense a rest, give their offense a rest, and try and stay as fresh as they can before tomorrow. It's tough. Playing games on consecutive days is not easy, especially for a team this small. That's a great check. Cole picks it up right away, though.
The pass down low is off the mark. It'll go out, and NAU is going to take over.
It's just you're going both end to end, like these guys like Cole and Kowalski, Simpson, and it takes a lot out of you. And to have to try and do it 2 days in a row is not easy. I mean, usually the only time you ever have to do that is during conference tournament time and the first 2 days of the national tournament. All the rest of the season, you should have at least a day of rest between your games, and it's something that's tough to get your body used to.
Yeah, especially when you look at some conference tournaments, which are 3 games in 3 days, like the SLC or SELC, I should say. A grueling stretch for any team to get through. But it also kind of, you mentioned, it tests them for battle that they're going to face in the MCLA tournament.
It's hard to go in if you're playing, in the MCLA tournament and play games on back-to-back days if you haven't done it at least once during the season. What a play. Zimmerman right on the doorstep gets the pass inside on the crease. Little drop step spin, gets wide open, and just puts it where Lorino's not. That's a really solid play.
Yeah, and NAU's been doing a good job of putting the ball past Lorino over the last couple minutes. We saw Mastro get past him, and now Zimmerman as well. So it's a 7-goal game, 13-6 the score, and NAU getting a little momentum behind them, but still, not that we're already clock watching. I mean, 2:42 left in the third quarter. You can't be looking that soon, but it's going to come down to if they can keep up what they're doing on the defensive side, forcing turnovers, getting the ball back to these talented attackmen on the other end. You can't rule out the possibility of a comeback this early.
Well, they got to keep winning faceoffs, and that's what they're doing right now. They've won consecutive faceoffs, and that's putting them in a position where they get to play some offense, which is something they haven't done nearly enough of. And got a couple of tweets coming in. We'll get to as soon as we can. Great save by Lorino.
Yeah, and that was a save Lorino needed to kind of get himself back into this game mentally after letting a few by. Now back into that position he needed to be in. the offense going to work on the other side and probably give the defense a bit of a break with a long possession. So how about those tweets, Chris?
Oh,
I didn't get any tweets.
Yeah, I see that you didn't, Trey. Got one coming in from Cameron Yurzik. Says loving the commentary. # spicy mustard.
Oh, so, hey, that was your point, I guess.
Yeah, there we go, Trey. I got one coming in from Paul Morgan, former standout player for Fullerton, tuning in. Great to see the old squad playing well. Missed playing in the tournament the past 4 years. Keep up the good work. See Marshall TLN and # Trey. But also, Paul Morgan does a lot in the coaching community as well over at Fallbrook High School, and really a guy with a lot of passion for the game, and spends a lot of time around it. So definitely fortunate to have him in the lacrosse community. I got one more coming in from David Schaum. Shout out to Jeff Gibray of NAU Lacrosse, LPHS alum from Colorado, and graduating from SLC Lax this year. So a bunch of tweets coming in here hot in the second half. So definitely keep those coming. Love to hear where you're watching, what you think of the game and the broadcast so far.
45 seconds left in this third quarter. NAU would really like to get on the board here before the quarter comes to a close, but that one is snatched out of the sky. What a play by the long pole for Fullerton. That's Masaki Masumoto making a pretty aggressive move to get up with his pole and snatch that one out of the sky. 20 seconds as we're going to see a long pole take a shot. He scores! Fullerton takes it from one end all the way to the other. A play made by Matsumoto as the long pole on one end, and then it's Brian Sutherland finishing it off on the other side.
Yeah, it looked like a Cody Coretta play on that one. One of the old athletic poles. Played for 4 seasons at Fullerton, going coast to coast on that one. But huge play again. Fullerton making plays at the end of quarters. And really stealing that momentum away. Just 17 seconds to go in the third, and they're pushing their lead to 8 goals.
And Chris, I do want to inform you, I did get a tweet in from Cameron Yurzik who says, "I will give you some love too. Keep up the good work." So we're spreading it around. Sharing is caring. 17 seconds on the clock. Still time for NAU to do something. They do win the draw. Now they're going to head back into their offensive box. Expect a timeout to be called here. Instead, they're going to let it play out. Interesting decision by John Westfall, but clearly he has a lot of faith in his guys. Under 10 to play. A shot from deep. That one swallowed up by Lorino. And it looks like that's going to wind out this third quarter. So a 14-6 lead, Fullerton over NAU here in the SLC semifinal. And we're going to call it to a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Sideline reporter Margot McCauley, and I'll catch you at the MPLA Championships.
Welcome back into Orange, California. We're 1 quarter away from the final here in Chapman Stadium. We're going to send it down to the sideline where Margot McCauley is standing by to give us a report.
All right, guys, right there at the break, listening in to the Northern Arizona side. Coach said, guys, right here, I want to see what we're made of. I want to see you guys come out and play with heart. You've got Sean Mastro taking the face off. He's out here. He's playing his butt off, guys. He's coming over to the sideline, breathing hard. A lot of stuff going on here on the field. I've got to get guys after this for the player of the game, so tweet me, please, at Margot McCauley, your player of the game, so I can catch one or two of them for a post-game interview. Back to you, Trey and Chris.
So, yeah, make sure you tweet in your player of the game to our Under Armour sideline reporter, Margot McCauley. You can tweet at her at Margot McCauley, whoever you're looking at as potentially the biggest difference maker on the field. Make sure you tweet it in as soon as possible. Mastro with another face-off win. NAU still trailing by 8 goals. A comeback is possible, but it's fair to say it's very unlikely at this point, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead and toss her a follow on the old Snapchat as well. She's always posting videos from the sideline and
I don't think I'm Snapchat friends with her. You know, everybody leaves me out of everything in this broadcast team. I'm like the redheaded stepchild, and that's a literal thing as well. A shot taken, missed off the mark, and then a rip taken from Zimmerman on the near side.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm sure you're enjoying yourself over there, Mr. Popular, with your tweets and your Snapchats. Please, tweet in at me, at Trey Lanthier. I don't even know what my Snapchat username is. I don't use it, but if you can find me, feel free to add me on Snapchat as well.
Oh, Trey Lanthier. He'll be here all day.
And we will, and tomorrow. Don't miss a moment of the action.
I'm really excited about tomorrow. I'm not going to lie. That Arizona State Grand Canyon game is going to be a war.
Yeah, and it's a rematch of ASU Grand Canyon meeting up out in Phoenix earlier this year. But the D2 side could be interesting as well. I mean, Cal State Fullerton looks like they could come away with the win here, barring an epic comeback from NAU, and they would likely be meeting Concordia or UC San Diego on an upset tear if they're able to beat Concordia later today, which, please, tune in for that game as well.
That's really solid defense by Fullerton. Sutherland throwing everything in the kitchen sink at NAU and causes the turnover.
Yeah, that's the same Sutherland that scored a goal at the end of the third, so kind of doing it on all sides of the field. That's why you love seeing D-Poles come up with goals, because they don't quite get the glory on the stat sheet as much. And you know this, Chris, as a player who was more slated on the defensive side.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing I like about Sutherland is his footwork is really good. You know, you see it's solid coaching, good fundamentals. I mean, that's what makes a good defender. It's all about the fundamentals. It's always like a guy that used to do a couple broadcasts with, Hamilton Pollard, former MLL player, and there's a great finish by Kowalski coming across, high to high, top shelf, off stick, and he just makes that look too easy.
And that's really what we've been seeing from him throughout his career, Cal State Fullerton. Only a sophomore right now, but
captain.
But a captain, exactly. A guy who's earned that respect and earned that go-to option label on the offense.
Yeah, and back to the footwork. It's guy Hamilton Pollard. He's does some of the broadcasts. He coaches out at the Bishop's School in San Diego, and it's you can just see the fundamentals that come through the guys that he coaches, and it's nice to see when there's a defender who's got really good footwork. It's fun, especially for me to watch, because I was a defensive guy, but it's the kind of stuff that if you're a younger player that you should be looking at and making sure that you master your footwork before you do anything else.
So the lead now, 9 goals.
That's just the largest of the game.
12:15 on the clock here in the fourth quarter. NAU with possession. They do have some star players on this offensive side, and a lot of them are young names, which means you can expect NAU to be in the conversation for years to come.
Yeah, but they're looking for a rock and jock 10-pointer at this point.
Yeah, honestly, and I think what we saw was those stretches of going cold. is kind of indicative of the youth of this team and the fact that I don't know if they're quite ready to take the step into being in that SLC championship game, into contending for an MCLA tournament berth.
Well, they just can't spot the other team's 6 to start the game. It's just not. You just can't win games doing that. And it would be a 3-goal game if they had come out in the first quarter like they did in the second and third quarter. Nice pass by Smith inside.
And then the return up top, and that didn't quite work out. Horton was there for it, but couldn't quite see it into his stick, and that's a frustration ice pick check he tried on a long pole, but doesn't quite make anything happen. A player is trucked at midfield, and Fullerton still with possession. They evaded every bit of frustration that NAU was flinging their way, and then the ball comes free after they get set up. Horton had it, and he sends it up to the midfield line.
And that's a nice play, composure coming across the midline, seeing 3 white shirts there, and kicking the ball to himself, giving himself some space to pick that one up. It's Dustin Cowell as he gets the ball going in the right direction, keeping his head up on that ground ball.
And just a reminder, tweet your player of the game pick to Margot McCauley on the sideline, our Under Armour sideline reporter. She'd love to hear from you because, it's up to you guys to pick the player of the game. I think, do they still get T-shirts? Is that still a thing we do? Yeah, we still have the budget to give them T-shirts, so they get T-shirts on the sideline if you vote for them. Please, vote for the player of the game. Tweet at Margot McCauley. It's not easy making those choices by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, we want to know what you guys think at home. They get an interview with world-famous Margot McCauley, and they also get a T-shirt. And the only way you can get those T-shirts is if you're player of the game. And that's textbook fast break. And the goal there by Drew Clater. That's exactly how you draw it up. That's how you practice it.
Yeah, and that's an example of what Cal State Fullerton has been bringing to the table all game long. This textbook style. On the offensive side, they're able to hold the ball for as long as they need to before something develops. In the transition, they're snapping their way down the field. And I think, if anything, NAU is just gassed at this point. I mean, getting back and forth in those transition opportunities is going to be hard when you've been so worn down on the defensive side.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Fullerton does the rest of the way out here. Maybe see if they clear out the bench, get a couple of those guys in for the last 10 minutes. Maybe try and hold on to possession until they're forced to take a shot with the timer on. Try and conserve some of that energy because it almost for sure looks like they're going through. And that's going to be a Ward going against NAU. Kind of an unlucky play. Is that one really could have let that one go, I think.
Yeah, especially at this point in the game. We're at the 9:30 mark in the fourth quarter. Fullerton up 16-6. And assuming that the final holds at in Fullerton's favor, it's been a quality season for Fullerton. They're 15-1 if they get the win here today. And this is a team that could potentially be on the outside looking in the MCLA tournament. And that really goes to show the state of lacrosse on the West Coast in D2. It's just not quite there from a respect standpoint, I guess you could say.
I think that they're going to get an at-large bid. Just the way that they won this game today. I mean, I think definitely if they keep it close tomorrow, they deserve one. But I mean, look at Kowalski. He's just cutting through that defense like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, he evaded. I think 3 defenders came his way, and he sidestepped or dodged each and every one of them. Finally gets open, and interestingly, we see him go righty on that one.
Yeah, switching his hands.
So
which was it, Trey? Was it a sidestep or a dodge?
I don't have specific names for everything that happens on the field, but all I know is Kowalski did pretty much everything he could have done on that play, and it paid off. 17-6, Fullerton in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's important for Fullerton to get a big win here for their at-large hopes. I mean, they're up by 11, and just to show the kind of talent that they've got. I mean, this is an NAU team. I mean, although they were 7-7 on the season coming in today, they had a big win against San Marcos, who is a talented team this season. I mean, I was impressed with the way that they looked. I can tell you one thing. I picked San Marcos to win that game. There's a kayak check. Love to see that from Jake Cowan. But I mean, I think this is a big deal. As another goal coming for Fullerton from Milliken.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just an example of Fullerton maybe starting to lay it on. I think the knife has been stuck, the fork has been stuck, the whole utensil chamber has been stuck in the hopes for NAU to make a comeback at this point. 8:11 on the clock, still time for NAU to get something going on the offensive side, but down 12 goals. The comeback chances are probably depleted. However, you do have to give credit. I mean, you mentioned that Cal State-San Marcos game. That was an impressive win for NAU, one of the more impressive they've had in a while. And when you come up with those type of wins, it proves that this team is coming along. This team is taking shape.
Well, like you mentioned, there's a lot of young talent on this team. And, I mean, when your best players are freshmen and sophomores, you got a lot to look forward to. That was a big save by Smith. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if, maybe you get Bissell or Barrel in the goal for NAU. Maybe get him some playoff minutes. Down at the end of this game.
A transition chance shapes up for NAU. The shot coming on from Jeffrey Gibb, but off the mark.
Yeah, got another tweet coming in from Jordan Goldberg. Great job on the call today, guys. Supporting the old squad from Tucson. #GoJacks.
Yeah, please tweet in at us at Trey Lanthier, at CMarshallTLN. Walk us through where you're watching from, who you're rooting for, but also what you think of the tournament in general, and maybe the MCLA tournament field. I mean, that's a big discussion topic right now that we haven't touched on too much, but, I mean, this is a wide-open year. D1 and D2, really. Concordia has been undefeated all year. They're number 2 at the moment. They've been number 1 in the past as Smith came all the way out and just stuffed Fullerton on that play.
I was kind of surprised when Concordia lost that number 1 spot. I mean, I think St. Thomas has 2 losses. I mean, granted, St. Thomas plays everybody.
Yeah, well, get this, Chris. St. Thomas lost and then stayed at number 1. You rarely ever see that happen. Fullerton
it's big Mendenhall
on the board again.
There.
But Concordia at that number 2 spot, and this is what I'm saying when the voting is slanted generally toward the Midwest teams because that's where the top teams in the country are aligned. I mean, St. Thomas and St. John's and North Dakota State, all top 10 teams year in, year out, are all in the same conference in the UMLC. Those are the teams, and actually Concordia last year in the tournament met up with North Dakota State and fell to them in the first round. But you can expect SLC. I mean, obviously they're going to send one with their automatic qualifier, and there's a pretty good chance they could send 2 teams.
Well, it's also this is a much different Concordia team this season than what they saw last season in the tournament. I mean, they've got a lot of really good players that are coming back this season that missed out last season for whatever reason. But I mean, they've got a lot of talent. I mean, this is a team that hung 31 on Biola this season. And, I mean, in his scrimmage, played really close with Whittier. One goal game. Whittier, a much improved Division III opponent, NCAA Division III.
Yeah, I mean, Concordia has definitely had its resume builders, and I think that you will see them with a top 3 seed in the MCLA tournament, depending on how they fare in this tournament here. But it's going to be most interesting to see how they play with the tournament in their backyard. Irvine is, I mean, Concordia is in Irvine, and that's UC Irvine's where the first and second rounds will be played, and then right here at Chapman Stadium, we're going to get the semis and finals of the MCLA tournament. So, home field advantage or hometown advantage can certainly play a factor for Concordia.
Yeah, in Concordia, you look at the beginning of the schedule. I mean, granted, these are early games, the first 2, or at least the Chapman games, scrimmage for Chapman. But go to UCLA, go to Chapman, go to San Diego. play at home against LMU and come away with victories in all those games, and then play a 1-goal game with Whittier at Whittier. And this is a team that didn't quite have the same strength of schedule at the D2 level, like we mentioned, but on the front end they played 4 SLC Division I teams and beat them all. And the SLC, I mean, at the Division I level, there's no slouches out there. You get down to the last 5 minutes of this contest.
And I honestly, I think this Cal State Fullerton team, should they get into the tournament field, could be dangerous as a seed that probably on the lower end of the spectrum would have to play against a top-tier opponent. But sometimes those first-round games end up becoming battles because someone's looking ahead to the second round or what have you. And I think that Fullerton has a shot to catch some teams off guard. You look at the roster, you say, oh, man, they're not very deep. And that's true. But that's also true of Concordia. And I think the talent at the top can really do some damage against even some of the best MCLA defenses out there. I mean, you don't get to 15-1 without being a quality team.
Well, and I think that's why Fullerton's trying to hold the ball as long as they are, because when they're playing against a team that's got more depth or even more talent, you gotta. Well, the best way to keep someone from scoring is to not let them have the ball on offense. And there's another goal. That one coming from Simpson as he little hitch steps right by his defender and just puts that right in the side netting.
Yeah, and at this point, I wonder if people watching in may be thinking, oh, is Cal State Fullerton trying to run up the score? And I don't necessarily know that I'd say that. I mean, there's nothing they can do. They have to have their starters in there. And when it's time for seeding conversations, teams look or a committee is going to look at a blowout loss or win differently than they'll look at a narrow one. So you want to make sure to play the full 60 minutes and not allow NAU to work themselves back into a position here, because that final score, as trivial as it sounds, that final score can be held against you in a lot of regards when it comes to seeding, when it comes to selection for the MCLA tournament.
It just seems like NAU ran out of gas. And, I mean, like, they've been playing a ton of defense. And, not that I'm saying these kids gave up, but you figure Fullerton was on offense for maybe 60-70% of the game for long extended possessions, and they were playing kind of a high pressure defense, and they just ran out of gas. But make sure to get your last couple of tweets, comments, questions in for player of the game. Get them to Margot at Margot McCauley. Let her know who she should be interviewing. That one stays in bounds and picked up, but then thrown right out by Papura.
So we're just about at the 3 mark. Fullerton up 20-6. NAU trying to put something together late here, but it's been a quality showing from Fullerton, and you imagine they have to have a lot of momentum heading into tomorrow's matchup with the winner of Concordia UC San Diego, which will be played right after this one. So make sure to follow us on Twitter. We'll tweet out the link to that game as well, as a chance opens up inside, and it's Essery who puts it into the back of the net.
Yeah, we're seeing change in the goal as Tony Lopez is in, the senior, for Fullerton between the pipes. We get to the last 2 minutes and 37 seconds of this game. But, I mean, Fullerton definitely, getting what depth that they have on the bench out onto the field and making sure everybody gets a run in. See a couple guys that we haven't, whose numbers we haven't called. Dakota Silverberg out there for Fullerton. Master does well to pull that one inside. There's a nice goal. Hey, where was this earlier? As we see this one coming from Cody Essery, does well, steps right by his man and puts that one in the top corner.
And Essery been doing a good job of positioning himself right outside the crease, but not quite in the danger zone where defense is going to slide over to him right away. And he's been breaking down this back end of the Fullerton defense.
And got a couple tweets coming in from NAU Lax Live. Want to give a shout out to the seniors for NAU out there playing what's probably going to be their last lacrosse game in college as we close in on the 2-minute mark in this game. And got another tweet coming in from Paul Morgan. Wants some love for Sutherland, Brian Sutherland, the number 1 deep hole for Fullerton. Want to get the defense some love out there. Been talking a lot of offense. You drop a twomp on somebody, and there's a lot of offense to talk about. But can't forget about the defense, as Fullerton's been doing a pretty good job keeping it tight. Lopez down there with some pretty fancy shoes. Those are very bright.
You gotta love. I love bright shoes. I love shoes of any color, but especially when they're your team color, it matches well. I'm no fashion expert. I'm actually probably the furthest thing from a fashion expert. I'm wearing a gray shirt right now with bright white pants. I'm not really much of a fashion expert, but I will
can vouch
say
for that. I can vouch for that.
Okay, there you go. The first time you ever vouched for me on anything. A shot taken on, and a flag. 2 flags are down, so maybe some extracurriculars late here, but pretty much one just kind of waiting for this one to end out at this point. We're under a minute and a half to play. NAU tacked on a couple goals late to make it a 12-goal game, but for the most part, looks like this one has been pretty much decided.
Yeah, another one coming in from NAU Lax Live. Thanks for the recognition. Best announcers ever. I mean, there's something I can get behind. So
I think they meant best announcer ever, and I don't know why you were tagged in that.
Oh, hey, this guy's got jokes.
No, I mean, it really, it's honestly, it's great being able to do these games. We get some great lacrosse in the SLC year in, year out. As Cameron Yurzik again tweeting in and giving us his prediction that Fullerton has a great chance at getting an at-large in the tournament. And I would be inclined to agree. I think there's a solid chance, but with how Siena Heights has played in the CCLA, they came up with a close game against Dayton yesterday, and they also had a close loss to Grand Valley State earlier in the year. I think that the Saints may be getting some looks from the selection committee, and that's an at-large. It's going to be tossed between potentially Cal State Fullerton and that Siena Heights team. The best thing Fullerton can do is obviously to beat Concordia would be the best thing, but to come close with Concordia could really put some momentum in their bid for an at-large.
Yeah, and Fullerton's going to be able to just kind of hold this one and let the rest of the clock time out. There's an unnecessary roughness, 2-minute penalty going against Northern Arizona. Just some frustrations coming out there at the end. You hate to see that, but there's no opportunity for a timer on while you're man up. So you have to think that Fullerton's pretty much just gonna let this run its course.
You would imagine so. I mean, they've run possessions much longer than this earlier. But we do see a rip, and Kowalski finds the back of the net. Not sure exactly why you're shooting this late in the game, but Kowalski showing off that ambidextrous skill set of his as he goes left there. We saw him go right earlier in this same quarter.
Yeah, Kowalski's a lefty. He's got a real cannon. I mean, you saw he's about 10 yards out, and that ball was past Smith before he even knew what happened. It's laser beam, but that pushes the number to 21 to 8 with 30 seconds left. And I think that the rotation was going. He had the shot at that point. I mean, you might as well take it. As NAU was doing everything they could to try and get that ball back.
So what should be the final face-off in this game with 23 seconds left in regulation.
Tuber with the ground ball there. Loves those fakes.
Yeah, we're going to see it. The long pole. He does go with the roller shot, but it's going to work its way to the sideline.
It's out of bounds. Last 10 seconds here.
This is Adam Zimmerman along GLE. Tries to outspin his defender now with the pass. It was tipped. That's going to bring this one to a close. Cal State Fullerton takes down NAU, and they're headed to the SLC championship game. Chris, really from start to finish, I mean, they came out with that 6-goal first quarter, leading at 6-0 at the end of that. Really proved that Fullerton is not any team you can look past, no matter who you are in the MCLA. And if they end up in the tournament, they could be very dangerous. But there's still a game between now and then that they have to play in the SLC championship game, and they'll play the winner of Concordia, UC San Diego, which is coming up next.
Yeah, and it's just going to be an opportunity to see one of the top Division II teams in the country go to work. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Concordia play. They've got a lot of really talented players. Got a couple Canadian guys. They're the D2 Grand Canyon, and they got these Canadian guys. They play a box style. They're rough and tough, and they go out there and win games by scoring great goals in transition and winning the ground ball game.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how they bring what they bring to the table. UC San Diego does put a very interesting defensive format on the field, one that's unique to maybe only UC San Diego in the entire SLC, which throws teams in for fits, as we see Concordia is taking the field right now. But this one has gone final. Fullerton 21-8 over NAU. An impressive showing from Fullerton, but expect to see NAU remaining in this SLC semifinal conversation for the next couple years to come.
Yeah, they had a couple of guys who were real good players. It's they just dug themselves a hole early and couldn't dig their way back out of it, and it's tough. I mean, I think they ran out of gas. They didn't go very deep into their bench. They have more rostered players, but it didn't get as deep into their bench as I think they needed to really compete with Fullerton today. Yeah, in just a few moments, we're going to send it down to Margo McCauley, who's going to be talking with the coach, Coach Ansel, some of the players of the game, and letting us know what's going on down at field level. So definitely lucky to have Under Armour sideline reporter.
And it looks like Brian Sutherland and Alice Kowalski are getting free T-shirts today. So it's their lucky day, to say the least. As it's always good to hear from these players and hear their shout-outs and hear what they have to say. And so we are going to go down to Margo McCauley on the sideline with the coach and players of the game.
All right, Coach, congrats. You advanced to the SLC championship game. How are you feeling right now?
Good. It's we like being, in the spot that we're at. We obviously have a great competitor in Concordia coming up. We're excited for it. Happy we're able to take care of business today.
How do you prep? You play tomorrow. How do you prep in that short amount of time for that game?
It's hard. It's a quick turnaround. Just hopefully, get a lot of water. Just, we've already played them, so we know what we want to do against them. We know what they're good at. Just hope for the best and, go out there with the best game plan that we can.
All right, the coach already giving the next game to Concordia.
No.
He's looking ahead. All right, thanks, Coach. I'm going to move on to the players of the game. We've got this guy again, Alex, 5 goals today. How are you feeling after that performance?
I'm feeling good, but it was just all up to my team. I got all the passes from them, and they really worked hard, and it was them pretty much, yeah.
Any shout-outs, family, girls, anybody special out there?
Yeah, shout-out to my girlfriend, Katie. She's cool.
Cool, Katie. All right, thanks. Congratulations on the win. Now we've got our defensive player of the game. He went coast to coast. Brian, how are you feeling right now? What are you looking forward to most in tomorrow's game?
I'm feeling pretty good. Tomorrow I'm just looking forward to getting played again, Another shot to play a game. It's a good day for lacrosse. Beating guys up.
All right, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Just my boys, my team.
All right, thanks. Congratulations. That's all we got. Looking forward to our next game. Back to you, Trey and Chris.
That Alice Kowalski's girlfriend is cool.
Yeah, I mean that's living.
That's deep. That's next level stuff.
Yeah, you really know you made it. You go out there, you get an SLC player of the game shirt. You got a girlfriend who's cool. I mean, I'm
not only that. But
what are we doing wrong?
Yeah. Great point. Whatever it is we're doing wrong, we're going to hope to fix it before the next game between Concordia and UC San Diego. Please tune in for that one. But that's going to do it for us for this one. Cal State Fullerton comes up with a big win, 21-8 over NAU. Fullerton moves on to the SLC Finals to be played tomorrow. But that is it for us on the broadcast. For Chris Marshall and Margot McCauley, I'm Trey Lanthier. Thanks so much for tuning in. And stay tuned on the SLC YouTube channel for all the games in the SLC Conference Tournament.